DMT World presents The Rambling Rabbit, and I am its host, HappyKB. Welcome to The Rambling Rabbit. It's HappyKB. And today in our hot seat, we have a special guest. And I butchered the name, so I'm going to go ahead and let him tell me what his name is so we get it correctly. So our special guest today is...
NotMyRealHead.
I always get it wrong, so it's
I
really good. Go ahead.
It's a not my real redhead, just so
No.
you would get it right.
No, because I'll probably still screw it up. It doesn't really matter. When
no.
something gets stuck, I'll just trip over it. I'll be like, because I'll know now. I'll know now because you've told me and we've had a physical conversation, and you're like, you say it wrong. So even if you changed it to how I say it, I'm still going to say it wrong because I'm going to know I say it wrong. So more than likely, I'll probably say it right. It's kind of like reverse psychology, I'm sure. So how are you? What have you been doing today?
I'm great. Today's been just kind of on Saturday, ran a couple errands, waiting on my neighbor to get me to fix his mower. It's raining. And
it rained.
Got my guitar back. It's been raining for a couple days. It's like day 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
You got your guitar back. Where was your guitar?
I had to put it in the pawn shop for a little while.
Spoken like a true musician. Right. I work in a music shop, so like we sell music. We sell music instruments. So I get people that walk in and they're always like, they ask me for specific things, and it's things that we don't carry. And the first thing I tell them is, if you're looking for good equipment or you're looking for something that you couldn't find in a music store, go to a pawn shop, because musicians pawn their stuff because they need the money, and not every musician gets to go back and get that pawn. So it's kind of right.
I love the fact that we can do it. I have lost stuff in pawn before, like 2 guitars or something like that. Yeah. Just some things, not really super expensive guitars, thank God, but it sucks. Like, man, if you keep it in over the month, you got to pay another like $15 or whatever it is, a percentage of your loan, and then you can do that in perpetuity forever, but you never get your shit back. So it's like some people, they lose that, or they lose their ticket or whatever, and they end up losing their instruments or whatever. But pawn shops are the best place to look for guitars too. Like, you'd be surprised the type of stuff you can find in a pawn shop.
Oh, a lot of vintage equipment, stereo equipment, stuff like that. Like, we get people that come in. We don't sell anything that's like audio or even very much like recording stuff and things like for music. We get people that come in though, and they're always asking. And I'm like, your gold mine is your pawn shop, because when nobody knows where to take it, and they don't want to just like put it in a garage sale, or they don't want to like take it to Goodwill, they take it to a pawn shop because you can get money off of it. And if it's something that's worth it, like, they're going to get a chunk of money off of it. So yeah, it's a gold mine. People don't go out and shop. And like at one point in time before the pandemic, thrifting was coming back into the play. People were doing more secondhand stuff. We were we were like, we were recycling, we were upcycling, we're doing all this stuff. And then the pandemic hit. And it not only killed business, period. Like, nobody goes out, nobody shops, like, everything's online. We just do that.
Yeah.
But like pawn shops and thrift stores, they got hit. Really, nobody was going in. And the only time people would go in is because they were in selling their stuff. And so like right after the pandemic happened, when everything started coming back, like, the first thing I did was I went to a pawn shop. And I'll tell you what, the stuff that I found there was, it was crazy. We'll drive up to Kansas City and go to the pawn shops there. And that's just heaven. And you don't pay the top prices like you would if you're going anywhere else. If you try to find some of the stuff online, they're going to gouge you because they know that you're looking for specifics. And so, it's a racket. It really is. Oh, yeah. Where do you reside? Where do you live at?
Where do I live? I live in Virginia.
Virginia.
Yeah, I'm a hillbilly.
A hillbilly. Okay, a hillbilly with dreads. That works for me.
Do you not know I cut them off last year?
Yeah, I know you. I've seen all the pictures.
Yeah, that
Um,
was just, I mean,
the
I
picture
was,
the
go
picture
ahead.
I'm gonna put on this cover is the Cyclops picture though, with the dreads and you
Oh,
smiling
yeah.
and you're sitting. That's the one I'm
Oh
gonna
my
use because
God.
that one just makes me laugh.
That one is so funny. Got
Yes,
the like,
we know you're kind of a wild one. It's fine.
yeah, dude, I've been tamed. Believe me, this is I was tamed.
It's
I was
because you
I
haven't
was
been
raised,
rolling.
huh?
It's because you haven't been rolling that much.
That's not necessarily true. No,
Oh, your wife is just to taking your it's like your electronics away from you. That's what it
dude,
is.
I was barely housebroken when I met my wife.
Ah.
She has turned my life completely around.
How long have you guys been together?
8 years.
It'll be
Oh
8 years
wow.
in August together.
8 years in
Oh,
August.
And 6 years married
wow.
in October.
Yep, 6 years married in October.
Oh, and she has kept you. Well,
I
you are a
know.
lucky man that you
I
found somebody
know.
that that claims you.
Uh, I know.
What do you do for just what do you do for a living? Do you
Uh,
what do you tell me a little bit about you because I don't know as much about you as I know about everybody else.
True. Yeah. Well, I
Hmm.
landscape. Um, Before I did landscape, I pretty much did construction my whole life. Landscaping is sort of a new thing for me, but I started it when I moved back to Virginia, and I love it. So I don't really want to go and do anything else. Like landscaping is pretty much it's fun. I'm outside all day long, all year round, all the weather. Fucking getting my hands dirty, kicking in shovels and moving heavy shit and cutting
Yes.
grass and
Is
yeah, I
it
love
is
it.
it is it good pay?
Yeah, I make pretty good money.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's good. That's good.
yeah,
You said you moved back from Virginia. Where were you living before that?
yeah.
Georgia?
Georgia. Yep, lived in
Georgia.
Georgia for about 10 years. I actually met my wife in Georgia, and then we moved
Ah.
back up here right before the pandemic hit.
Mhm.
Oh, dude. Hmm.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
right before. It was a little weird because I didn't know what was gonna happen. So it was like, oh, I didn't give up. We ended up getting a place, and we lived in a hotel for about 2 weeks or a
Yeah,
month or
and I was in
something.
Georgia, what, 3 months before you can get
Yeah, and she was stayed back behind in Georgia. I came up and lived on my friend's couch for like three
Okay.
months
Yeah.
while I was getting my shit together and getting a good job and blah blah blah. She
Hmm.
stayed down in Georgia with the dogs and the cats and doing the house thing while I was up here working and saving money and basically living on my friend's couch. And then I brought her up here. What was it August of
No, it was this summer because it was
July?
hot
I
as
think it might have
fucking
been like
Texas.
June or July of 2020.
Oh
And
yeah.
then our house was ready shortly after that. So we only lived in a hotel for like a week or it was more than a week. It was like
Almost a month.
it was almost a month. But
Was it like a resident
travel
hotel?
lodge,
Yeah,
travel
okay.
lodge.
Yeah. Those aren't
Yeah,
bad. I
not
mean,
too
it's
bad. They
doable.
let us have the dogs, so it wasn't that bad.
That's a
Definitely
bonus.
doable. Yeah, definitely doable. And that was before my dogs started fighting.
Mhm.
They actually used to get along at one point in time. Now they can't stand each other.
What kind of dogs are they?
I have Kitty, and Kitty is a pit bull boxer.
Ooh.
Kitty is what I call a Fort Valley special.
Oh
Right,
my.
Fort Valley is a really small town in Georgia, and it's a
Okay.
little ghetto. So Kitty is a street dog. She's a Fort Valley special. And then we have Charlie, and we got both of them in Georgia. We got Charlie, and Charlie is she is a husky golden retriever mix.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
they're called Gobrians, but they're not AKC recognized.
I don't know what that means.
So like the American Kennel Association or whatever,
Oh, okay.
the authority on fucking animals because there's always an authority on everything.
Because everything
But
is regulated. Ugh.
yeah, oh yeah, well you can't have this breed. It's not a real breed. Yeah, it is a
Mm,
fucking real breed. They're making them all the time. I
right.
think it's because there's no one set like
Oh,
phenotype. You know what I'm saying? There's no
oh, I see.
one. So like Not so many ways as like a pit bull looks different. They have brindles and Gotties and whatever. But
Right.
like literally every single Gobrian dog looks different than the last one. Like the only
Really?
thing you can tell is that it's two mixes. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
some of them look more husky. Some of them look more golden retriever. Like Charlie, she looks way more golden retriever than a husky, but she
Oh,
has like a husky tail. She's got a
yeah.
red nose like a husky. She
How big is
howls and
she?
talks.
Her personality.
How big is she? She's
Yeah.
about 70 pounds.
Oh my. Hmm.
Yeah, about 70
They're
pounds.
both 70.
Yeah, they're both about 70 pounds.
Those are some big dogs.
Kitty's about knee height, and
Yeah.
Charlie is probably comes up to like my thighs, something like that. Probably like mid
Wow.
leg.
Yeah, those are some big dogs.
Oh yeah, Kitty's a little tank, man.
She's ghetto. She's got to be a tank. She's got like.
Yeah, Daddy's little fat girl.
That
Yeah,
makes me laugh.
I call her Miss Piggy because she grunts and shit. And Meatball. Meatball's another favorite.
Well, she's a pit, so she's got that little squishy nose. So
Oh yeah,
that's funny.
yeah.
I love that. Those
Yeah,
dogs. I
that's
don't
my
have
baby.
dogs. We have ferrets. Well, we have one ferret because one of our ferrets passed away. But we did have a dog. We had we had a dog named Saint Puppy Peace. That was my son's that we got right when he was like after the litter was old enough to go. He was kind of the runt, but he was huge. Like he got really big. He was about 70.
Damn.
We named him Saint Puppy Peace, thinking like he would go by Saint or would go by Peace. No, the dog would only respond to the name Puppy. So like he was a Rottweiler. He was a full-blood Rottweiler, but he was like puppy. Like he acted like puppy. Like the whole time, even when he was unless something was happening to my son, and then he would like turn into this this Rottweiler, and he would, and it was good. But puppy was good. My son, when he was little, I had a back injury, and all I could do was barely get out of the bed, and I could sit in my front room in my chair. And so I'd sit where I could see outside. And my son Jacob was small, like he was a little guy, and he would take Puppy out. First, he'd get up and he'd feed all the cats and the dogs the couple dogs that we had. Like we had so many animals that we couldn't afford those animals. We just had them. So he would get all. I worked at a natural food store, so I would always bring home, vegetables and fruit because we could have as much as we want because they would go bad because they're organic.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd bring them home and would have bags in the crisper, and Jacob would get up in the morning and he would go get the carrots and he'd go get the celery and he would feed all the animals carrots and celery and feed them in the morning. And then he would go outside with Puppy with carrots because Puppy really liked carrots, but he only ate carrots if Jacob gave them to him. And I remember I was sitting there and he's standing there. Huh?
My dogs hate like raw carrots, like real
carrots.
No. They love
that's how Jacob
sugary shit. They love those. They're not real carrots.
My son taught Puppy to sit and to like heel and because of carrots. And it was all because of carrots. And that dog wouldn't take a carrot from me to save my life. But dogs, I like dogs. We can't have them. My parents don't. My mom's like, smell really bugs her. She's very super sensitive. So even the ferrets smell when when it's about time to change everything, she gets really uncomfortable and edgy because she does not like the smell of it. So like animals in her house doesn't appeal to her.
Yeah, I understand.
So it's one of those things, but I love dogs.
I have no sensitivity. Like I swear I think I'm autistic over this couple of things that I do. And like what it is like I cannot stand like unnatural scents. And like the sense that I can stand is it's very few and far between. But like if I walk past a person like in the store and I'm just like smacked in the face with cologne, it actually makes me angry. It's not like I'm just annoyed at it. Like I get like, oh god damn it, motherfucker! I get a little angry about it.
Do you think it's the chemicals in it?
I have no idea, but it's not just like perfumes and shit like that. It can be like certain other things, like cats. Cats. The smell of cats drives me fucking insane.
Maybe okay.
Even like dogs, when they start to get really stinky, it can start to bother me a little bit. But like I don't know. I think I was a dog in a past life, so like I relate to them a lot better.
What kind of
Yeah.
dog do you think?
I don't know yet.
What do you gravitate to the most?
Pit bulls.
Pit bulls? Okay.
Yeah, I was probably a pit bull. That kind of suits my personality a little bit better, I think.
I had a roommate who he bulldogged out. Like he would sit, he's kind of, he was a short, stout guy, stocky, big shoulders, like, and he would sit behind, he was a bartender, and he'd sit behind the bar and he'd cross his arms, and his face, like his mouth would like a, you know how you look at a bulldog and then like it has that upside down, and that's what he looks like. I mean, he looked like a bulldog. And that's what I believe his spirit animal had to have been a dog as well. So that's very possible that since you're very drawn to them, that a past life, it's very possible. We don't know.
Yeah.
And why couldn't our spirit inhabit a different type of living being? I mean, so that's very possible.
I totally think it could. Like, I think my spirit animal, I think, is a hawk. And then I think I would, a hawk. Even though, like, I'm not really that good with, like, foresight and shit like that. I mean, I try to think about shit like that. But, I think the hawk is, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah. Tell me.
Like, 6 years ago? Probably 5 or 6 years ago, I had this mushroom trip. And I used to have this, like, Native American sort of looking display. Like, all my arrowheads and statues and tapestries and all artifacts, stuff like that. And I have a red-tailed hawk skull that's on a little mount. I had all that stuff together in an area. And I drank a massive cup of mushroom tea. It was like, I don't even remember how much mushrooms was in it, but it was ridiculous. But it filled up like a super big gulp cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 2 of those.
Oh.
So I drank them. By the time I'm halfway through the second one, I'm tripping balls. So like, I'm stuck. You know how you just get like tunnel vision at whatever object? I'm looking at this hawk, right? The hawk skull caught my eye. Now I'm hearing native drumming, like very slowly in the distance, and fucking, I can feel the lick of the fire as these people are dancing around the fire. They're chanting and singing, oh, and then I hear a fucking hawk cry. So I'm like, oh, in my mind, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. I'm not scared of anything. Like, it was fucking amazing because I could see it.
Yeah.
Then I started thinking, what am I in this scenario? You know what I mean? Because I'm not seeing everything from the perspective of a human being. This is different, right? Well, I was like some type of fucking field critter, like a rabbit or a mouse or something. So I'm hearing all this cool-ass Native American shit. There's fires and hawks screaming. But now the hawk scream has a completely different meaning to me. It's coming to get me.
Oh.
So like, oh yeah, I was scared. Like I felt real feared. I went through the whole thing and fucking, man, I started running through the field. I could see the blades of grass passing before my eyes. And the hawk cried right the last second, snatched me up. And then, ever since then, I see hawks consistently every single day. Not even in the same places. And I think they leave me feathers. I have enough hawk feathers. I have enough hawk feathers to build another hawk.
Oh my.
It's ridiculous. And it's not like, nobody else in my company is finding them like that. I'm like, man, there's hawk feathers all over that place. And like, I've never seen one. I'm like, dude, I got a whole tail out of there. Like, yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was a wild ass trip, dude. The drumming, like, it was so real. It was awesome. Yeah, that was one of my favorite trips.
So yeah, definitely there's something about a hawk. And you're right, your animal, that might be your animal spirit, just because, like, yeah, if they're leaving you presents, they're calling to you and talking to you and like appearing to you. That's very I think that's very accurate. That's how I am with rabbits. When I was a kid, I went to my grandma used to have like hip pain and stuff like that, and she was always in pain, and so my granddad was always going places trying to find her help, go to the hospital, they go to the different things. Well, he went to the reservations and decided he was going to take her to a medicine man. And so we drove, my mom and I was really little, drove them to the reservation so they could go to meet this person. And so I couldn't go in with them. My mom and my granddad were, but I couldn't go. So I sat outside with one of the ladies that was out there, and we sat there, and she was making like a jewelry or doing something. And so she asked me if I wanted to do it. So I sat there and she was showing me how to like thread beads and things. And as we were sitting there, she was talking to me. And then she was talking to me about totems and animals and the spirits that, and she was going into great detail. And she was the one that night that told me about that my totem, my animal spirit is a white rabbit. And I was, from that point in time, well, when I look at everything, my very first stuffed animal when I was a kid, when I was a baby, my first birth stuffed animal was a rabbit. So that's from the very time, and that rabbit's name is Bertha. That's what it said on it, Bertha, and so that's that rabbit's name. And so I still have that rabbit. And from then, no, it was they used to, when back then in the 70s, because I was born in 76, back then they would like put names on stuffed animals. So they became pre-named. Yep, they came pre-named. So that rabbit's name is Bertha. And so as I've gotten older, rabbits have always just been around. Well, I used to be outside and I would play, and I would always bring rabbits. Like, they would come up to me. They would just come up, and I would pick them up, and I would take them to my mom and dad and talk about the rabbits, and then I'd let them go. Well, one day my dad comes home with a rabbit that he bought from a pet store and wanted to give me this rabbit. And I had this huge meltdown. I could not take this rabbit. I couldn't believe that they went and bought a rabbit. So he took it back. He took it back. I wanted to let it go, but he said we couldn't let it go in the wild. It probably would not survive. So he took it back. But to this day, like my yard, every house I've ever lived in, they're everywhere. The rabbits are everywhere. Oh yeah, they're not anywhere else. It's just our yard. Like, I go out, there's at least 4 or 5 in the yard. When I leave in the morning, when I come home, they're all in the backyard. Yeah, I don't know, but that's kind of like rabbits are my thing too. So yeah, you get feathers. I don't get anything. You get feathers at least.
Yeah. I get feathers all the time. It's the wildest thing, man. I stopped even collecting them because I just have so many. I mean, there's only so much shit you can decorate with hawk and,
Right. I was going to ask, what do you do with the feathers?
A lot of times they end up in a bottle in a windowsill.
Well, I mean, that's something.
Or maybe part of like my wife has this like little flower, like fake flower, like a dead arrangement.
Yeah.
And she's put a bunch of feathers in that. So I mean,
oh, that's cool.
You get creative. Like I started tying them to like I have a bunch of deer skulls.
Yeah.
So I started taking fishing line and tying the feathers to the antlers.
Oh, that's cool.
Hang off the tines.
Right.
So that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, you can. You could do all kinds of things with feathers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. Made a couple of smudge.
I do want to say, those for the people that are listening to this episode, there may be some that don't realize that Not My Real Head. I said it. Did you hear that? Yeah. Is actually on our community builders staff, and they are in our Discord. We've actually let him have a little bit of control and say so what people get to do when they come in and out. But I think that's important. I want to make sure that people knew that, because I think that's very important, because the community builders are... Discord is not my favorite thing anyways. It's just, I don't know, it's just kind of it's its own entity. And so like the linear, how it runs is, I don't know, there's just something, it's really hard for me to maneuver in it as well as I can maneuver in our platform. So I used to have to really force myself to be in Discord because I need to know what's happening in my community, right? So a lot of times I just sit with it open when I'm at work on Discord, and I'm just sitting there watching what's going on. And most of the time I'm not even participating like verbally, but I'm there. But it's hard. It gets a little wild and crazy in Gen Chat. And
Gen Pop.
sometimes I pop in and I'm like, man, this place doesn't even look like what, I can't even recognize it. So like it gets a little squirrely in there. It's fascinating that people the way they come in and then they're there for a minute and then you never see them again. And I've always wondered, like, did we piss them off? Did they get offended? Like, I care. I care. I care. But again, part of me is like, if you're coming in the Discord, like, it's like the Wild West. I've been in some other Discord servers and they get pretty wild too. So it's that's why, that's why we encourage, and I know you guys do encourage trying to post in other things and keeping the categories, like our music place and our memes and stuff like that. That way we're not congesting the that general chat with a bunch of BS, because there's a lot of garbage that people post, and I'm sometimes a little beside myself. But it's an outlet. That's what Discord is. It's an outlet for people
I hope I wasn't one of the people that put you beside yourself.
Everybody at one point in time has put me beside myself. I can honestly say that.
I did. I'm sure.
There's sometimes I'm like, what in the Leroy?
I know.
But the thing is like, I understand what these tools allow for people. We are all stuck in this world where right now, especially, we're in our phones, we're in our things. This is how we're connecting with people. We don't get to normally see people on a day-to-day basis. I sit in an office, I barely have contact with people until I go to my second job. And so like, I understand when you find a community, especially like DMT world, where we're the coolest people around. Want to, yeah, right. You get comfortable, and that's what happens. People get comfortable, and when you get comfortable, sometimes you let your guards down, and your awareness goes away, and it's just something. It's just how it is. It's not something. People, like I say, people every day of my life and our interactions can make me mad at some point in time, but I don't dwell on it. In fact, I kind of just look at it and I'm just like, well, maybe that's how it has to be because of what it is. And so Gen Chat is there. That's why we have like the Psychonaut only, because that's where we can actually focus those types of things on. So like Gen Chat's just Gen Chat, and I like to come in and give people crap because I got to make sure that they know that I'm not a stick in the mud, or I'm not, that I am actually a little bit cooler with who they are and what's going on than, because there's times I know I intimidate the crap out of people. Like, people don't want to disappoint me, or people don't want to, and I get that, and they don't. I mean, it's not, I barely get upset. I mean, if I do get upset, it's because of something that I'm dealing with, and it's not necessarily what other people have done, because people are just kind of people. So, but Gen Chat's fun. I think I've pulled you back on twice to be in the community builders. You've left, you've got zapped out of your Discord, and you just keep coming back. So I wanted to say, I really appreciate the fact that you do sit and you are a community builder and you are active. That's the hardest thing, when I have people who are not active and I've given them, and put them in roles, then I get a little discouraged. I don't get discouraged with you because you're always active. A lot of times you're active and nobody else is on, and there's people in there talking, and you're always in there trying to talk to them and keep it going. And I think that's super cool. And so I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. Did you, you're the one that got the wall hanging, right? You're the one that I sent that to? Does it look cool? Did it look cool? Okay, good. Good.
Awesome. Yeah, we got it in our bedroom right by the bed.
Oh, very cool. Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it's in the bedroom. It made it upstairs. So that's a good one.
Oh, sweet. It made it past the first floor. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So tell me, so how did you find DMT World?
I found DMT World through Michael Madness's mushroom channel, Home Mycology on YouTube.
That's my favorite answer when people give me that.
Yep.
Because it really makes me think, like it makes me aware of, like, there are tons of people that came that way.
Oh yeah,
And
that dude has reach. That guy has
I re-
reach.
he does have reach. And it's
Yeah.
just because he is not cut from the same cloth
Oh, he's
as your
definitely
other
different.
mycologist. He's out of the box. He
Yeah,
always
he's
thought
definitely
out of the
different.
box. It's also why,
Yeah.
like, you always you say madness, people exactly know who we're talking about. And
Mm.
it's because he has created his own being, his own space especially in the mushroom world. And it's
Yeah.
cool because when madness says something, people listen. That's how they made
Yeah.
it to DMT World. And so
Yeah.
that's good. That's real good. I just do remember you were a little firecracker when you came in
Mm.
to the community in the beginning. I mean, you're still a firecracker. You're still a
Yeah.
little.
Man, I thought I was tame in the beginning, man. I really opened up over the years.
No, we've become accustomed to you. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So tell me
Like
when you
but he's
uh-huh.
our retard. Leave him alone.
Right, exactly. So what is the difference from the first time you came into the community to now? Like, I want you to look at the growth process, or what has changed, or what have you noticed the most from the time that you started to now?
Well, when I first started, it seemed like it was a little bit busier. It was probably because
Mhm,
of the pandemic.
mhm,
More than likely, people had more spare time to be online. They're looking for shit to do. So there was
mhm.
a lot of people coming through there, in and out. And now it's like, I mean, there's still people coming in, but I don't know. It seemed like it was just like really alive during the pandemic.
It was. It
Yeah,
was.
like yeah.
What this what is hard? Okay, so we have had a lot of activity. So when we started, like 5 years ago, when we started, we were in the middle of a presidential election.
Mm.
So that's when the community standards on Facebook started to kick up. Okay. So when that started kicking up and it kicked our group off, and we had to go in and go back and basically plead and ask them, what can we do to get it back up? And that's when we
Right.
decided to move into our own independent area. So that was 5 years ago in a presidential election. And so they were pinging everybody right and left because we had censorship happening hardcore
Oh
on
yeah.
what we now know as Meta is now, but then more Facebook. And so that's when everybody was getting pinged, all the groups were getting taken down, everything was happening. We could feel the restriction of the censorship. They were telling us what we
Hmm.
can and can't do. We can't, it's all that stuff. So when that started happening, people got panicked. People had
Hmm.
been utilizing the groups for such a long time and had built up their people, their clientele, their community, and then all of a sudden everything's starting to get pinged. And so that's when we came into play. Well, guess what? It's been 5 years. And guess where we're sitting at now?
Where?
We're sitting in another presidential election year.
Yeah.
Facebook has started, they have community standards has started pinging and going through groups again and taking posts down and taking groups down and penalizing admin. It happened to our group not long ago on my group, or the
Really?
DMT World Facebook group. I got a thing and they penalized me, and it was on a post that all it was a DMT cart picture
Mhm.
of a DMT cart. And the person said, I just got this DMT cart. Use those two words, and I know it's those two words that triggered whatever.
Yeah.
And then they proceeded to be like LSD, mescaline, and started saying drug terminology. And so that's what I got pinged on. That goes against our community standards, blah blah blah, illegal substances, blah blah blah. Well, I start looking around, and I'm looking at some other places, and people right and left, people who I would be like, they would never get penalized. They would never get dinged by community standards, are starting to post stuff and, seeing community standards. Well, we've had an uptick in our DMT World website because We're in the middle of a presidential election year, and they're starting to do what? Censorship. What are they? Look what they're doing to TikTok. So they want to ban TikTok, right? So they make this little thing, and there's like, well, if you don't sell it to an American company, then you can't. You can't have it here. Okay.
I mean,
Well, why? Why? Tell
I was
me.
always
Tell me.
for ban. I was always for banning the TikTok, but
Well, here's the deal. Yeah. Why ban it now? We
It's
tried
a
to get it
fucked up
banned.
reason. It's a fucking ridiculous reason. I don't really want to get into it, but it is the truth.
Let me tell you my reasoning behind it. Part
Okay.
of the reason is because they were able to infiltrate Twitter during the presidential election year, and they had all their people in there, and we were censoring, we were showing people exactly what we wanted. They were showing us what they wanted us to see, and they were taking down everything else, and they were stopping the flow of information, actual information, and then they were turning it around, calling misinformation. So what has happened is Twitter, which is a China company, has gotten so big, and our youth are gaga over the Twitter, and it's amazing how mass psychosis is actually being used with Twitter or with TikTok. And so what's happened is they know this, and the tides are turning, and stuff is being shown, and there's some issues in our world. That's what I'll just say: issues in our world that are being seen through TikTok. And they don't want it seen. And so they want this. This is why they said you have to sell it to an American company.
Right.
Because that way, if it's an American company, then that gives them, they have control, and then they can go in and they can do exactly what they did with Twitter. Because they already do it with Facebook. They already do it with Instagram. They're doing it with anything else. And at one point in time, when this all 5 years ago happened, there was a thing, and when they were talking about trying to censor the online platforms 5 years ago, and it's so crazy that this is where we're sitting at. And like I said, we're seeing
it. Then you find out that the FBI and the CIA have secret backdoor portals into the fucking.
Right, it's well, and they have access to whatever.
Yeah.
And when you have places, when you have companies like Google who bend over backwards and takes it any which way they can, just so they can have more of the monopoly, like it's disgusting. It's really disgusting. I'm always, that's why when I see these, the first free speech platform, or we uphold free speech, and I'm like, we've been doing this for 5 years. we have been free speech.
Yeah.
But they're not looking at us, though. They're not looking at us.
It seems like free speech has parameters on it, for real.
People only want free speech if it's free speech for themselves. They do not want it. They do not want free speech for anybody else. They just want it for themselves. They want to control.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And they talk themselves into things. Like they tell themselves, oh, well, we want free speech, but we should get to dictate what is considered and what isn't considered. And it's a very slippery slope that we are finding ourselves in 2025.
Yeah. Well, when you start describing speech, when you put like an, I felt like this is just the first one that comes in my head. Hate speech.
Yeah.
Right. Well, now you're categorizing. Now you're turning it into something other than free speech, which essentially hate speech is free speech.
Right.
You don't have to like it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like Patrick Henry. Might not like what you're saying, but I'll die defending your right to say it.
Absolutely.
That's one of the fundamental things about this country. Is one of the things that made us great at one time.
Yes,
because we had that freedom, but I think people have gotten a little sensitive, and
they have.
I think social media has a lot to do with that. I think social media and has a lot to do with a lot of like social ineptitudes in the majority of the population.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Just literacy and like reading and things like that alone. We are seeing a decline in our children big time.
Yeah.
At one
Oh,
point
yeah.
in time, they decided to take the curriculum and they went with this thing called balanced reading. This is about the time my kids were in middle school, and this basically they eliminated what is called phonics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Phonics is the
remember
base.
those.
Yeah, the basis of everything that we know how to read and everything. It's phonics, phonetics, learning how to phonetically speak.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my kids were going, they started doing this weird stuff, and it was called balanced reading. And one of the things they was started putting out there were nonsense words. And I can remember getting so mad because I'm like, what is a nonsense word? Like, why are you teaching my kid? They're like, well, it's to sound out the letters of these letters of this nonsense word. I'm like, that makes no sense to me. Like, you're not teaching them how to sound out anything. These
No.
words mean nothing. Like,
Yeah.
and so, like, this is what we've done up until the pandemic. And then
I
after the
heard they're not even.
pandemic,
I heard they're not
mhm.
even teaching kids cursive anymore.
No, they don't do that. And
Seriously?
yeah, it's now an elective class that is starting to be implemented in some places.
What?
A lot of them are college do they implementing electoral like to so people can learn how to do that. Yeah, they have now they've started this thing. I think it's called reading science or something like that. But basically, they're bringing the phonetic reading and stuff back into schools because after the pandemic, they realized that our children in the United States of America can't read, and
They're
a lot of
fucking
them are
dumb. Look,
they are
listen.
illiterate.
Check this out. And this is part of the reason. This is part of the reason why we have so many illiterate children too. Uh, okay, so 79% of U.S. adults are literate. They can read and write just fine.
Right.
21% of adults are illiterate, completely
Yeah.
illiterate. 54% of adults have a literacy like below a sixth grade level.
Yeah.
And then another 20% are even lower than that. So if
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
have like, I mean, it's trickled down illiteracy, man.
Well, and now we have a lot of incoming migrants that are coming in from other countries,
Yeah,
and
that's
they
true.
don't have English. They don't have the language either, and that's going to be a problem too.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't have enough people trying to teach and help us get the language up where it needs to be so everybody can communicate with each other. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we're kind of in a really weird area because here's the thing I think about. We have these young children who are graduating and getting out of school, getting passed along and not being able to read or write as well as they should be, or even put together papers or writing documents or maybe even understanding
Yeah.
things. Half of them aren't going to be able to read the cursive that's on the Declaration of Independence is my fear. But
I
I mean, we
know.
can get past that. But here's the deal. These are the people, this is the future of our America that are going to be
Yeah.
our Congress leaders and our senators and our principals and our people who are running the United States. And what happens if they are not able to read and write? And I mean that's a problem.
Exactly.
We've got all
Exactly.
these people coming in that want to be a part of America because I believe there are a lot that are coming in that legitimately want to be here. And
Yeah.
how are they going to we've already got people in California, they're getting put on they were getting government jobs and they're not citizens, but they want to be a part of it because they want to be a voice in America. Like these are problems we're facing. And we're
Yeah.
not looking at these problems saying, how do we solve these problems? We
Nobody's
need to,
looking for solutions at all.
that's right. We're looking for votes. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah. Exactly. That really is
Mm-hmm.
what it comes down to. If they
Votes and
wanted,
destroying the inner fabric of what makes up America. I honestly believe
yeah.
that.
It's to the point like, man, I know you're just a few years before, older than me, but me growing up like the early 90s, I was a kid, I got in high school at the end of 98, 99.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's always been kind of a running joke, at least to me, that our culture is no definition for it.
Right.
I mean,
The
what is
yeah,
America culture? You
the
know what I mean? Like,
Americana culture
yeah,
has
I would say that.
dwindled away. We do not recognize and understand that the cultures that are here are to be shared with each other, because that's how you create more culture. We refuse to want to blend it that way, because we scream cultural appropriation on everything, because everybody wants to be offended. Everybody wants to say, you stole this, you took this, this was not. When they don't understand that how we build culture and make culture is that we blend our cultures together. We share it. We share our fabrics. We share our colors. We share our food. We share our language. We share our teachings. We share our tools, but we share.
Right.
And we don't take it, and we are not greedy. And this is a problem that we have right now. The greed and the ego are so blaring at this point in time in all of our world that we can't seem to see straight. And so, I mean, these are problems we have. We do not have a culture because we do not want a culture. We want to claim that we have, we want to be greedy with our cultures. And most of these people who are trying to claim this culture don't even come from half to where those places that actually this is their culture.
Nope.
So, so it's kind of crazy. Like, we like to talk in these circles,
weird.
and we like to say all this stuff, but we don't really look at what we're saying and don't realize that most of what we're saying is a bunch of BS, and it's kind of ridiculous.
It's all like double speak and fucking. It's really like oxymoron type shit.
It's word magic. It's actual spell work. It's actually it's what's happening. We're taking words and we're taking symbols and we're twisting them, and we're putting new things to them. We're associating new things so we can change how we see them. And this is how we erase history. This is how we erase ideas and concepts, is we take it and then we put something else in its place. And then going forward, the generations don't know any different because they don't know when it changed. It's really, this is also why some of our culture is disappearing, because we have done that. We've just done that.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. I mean, I think it's all. I think it's either something natural that's happening, or it's some sort of conspiracy to do this to a population. Because okay, so the kids are pumped full of media. They're pumped full of all kinds of shit, right? So if these people wanted to influence generations for the next 100 years, it's very easy for them to do that. So
sure.
Take mom and pop farmer, in 1950s, right? Mom and pop farmer, they have a son grows up, he's a teenage hippie in the 60s. Right? Do you think that would have happened without any type of influence from somebody who thought up what a hippie was? Like, if he was just an old farm boy with mom and dad farmer, would he be a hippie, in the 60s?
No, because we placed those words on groupings of people.
Exactly. So,
we gave them, we talk about stereotypes, right? People are like, oh, don't stereotype each other. Oh, we stereotype each other.
Stereotype exists for a reason.
We started calling certain groupings of people a certain, because it was association. They were a group of. And so then going forward, we keep using these terminologies, and then it gets set in stone, and then it becomes part of the fabric of what we're made up of. And it's quite interesting to how that's happened. And no, I don't know. I don't know if, because the hippies came about during the counter culture, the counter revolution. And so that was during Vietnam War. And so it's how it differentiated them from the other type of kids that were running around in America. These were the hippies. These were the kids that, free love, drop in, tune out. They were all about and so that was how they described them. Yeah.
The whole thing was co-opted by the CIA.
Well, sure. I mean, if you know anything about Manson, and about anything of his history, of course, this gentleman was in and out from the time he was a young boy, in and out of jail. You can't tell me, right? So he was already in that system. Well, what are they going to do with this kid? they're gonna use this kid. And they did, and they used a lot of people. They've used a lot of people throughout. And it's just, yes, there is manipulation that is happening with everywhere. I firmly believe that. Yes, there are people do not have the best intentions, and the intentions that are out there, I think, are underhanded, and I think it's a hidden hand. I think we're dealing with a hidden hand right now as we speak in our society with all the things that we're actually seeing. People don't, there are so many people that are oblivious or don't want to believe it. And that's perfectly fine because that's their right. But I'm going to tell you, I do think there is other things at play. But I'm also a spiritual person, and I understand energy, and I understand how to work in these other realms. And I know that there are other people. There are people in power, there are elites, there are people all over in every aspect that know how to do this too. And some of this, people all the time, KB, you're such a conspiracy theorist. And I'm very quiet about like a lot of things that I think, but I think, and yes,
Okay,
things
so
are.
I'm just a bullet point to one thing. Check it out.
Yeah.
So like, we all know, like, back in the like medieval, whatever, the alchemists, sorcerers, whatever, but there's always one for the king, right?
Yeah.
The king always had his sorcerer or his sorceress or whoever did the magic, and then he had all those whatever, right? Now,
I mean, Merlin is a prime example.
So why is it any different now? Of course, you still have powerful people dabbling in either most of the time dark arts.
Sure,
because
the occult. Call it the occult.
It's always for personal gain too. Like that's what they have them to begin with, is so they can stay in power, right?
Of course, hidden.
So
yes,
yeah, but that totally, you're certainly right. And I think it's an aspect of both things too.
Well, I mean, it has to be. I mean, you bring up the occult. Okay, let's talk about the occult. Well, so we have many different groupings and sects and things. I mean, you have going from things like the Rosy Christians, who are actually doing a lot of alchemical different things. You've got just the Masons alone, like you've got them, and they have their sects and the things that they did in their groups, and they had their, the different degrees and the understanding that goes deeper into that. Okay, so you've got that. Okay, so then you've got the Hermetic beliefs and the systems that going forward, I mean, it's everywhere. So how can something not exist? Aleister Crowley alone, like, he tapped into so many of these different things because what he was searching for. And we know these things are written down and are written about. We have all this documentation of it. Was it all just BS? Like, I mean, no, there has to be realness to it. But again, when you're dealing with the hidden hand, and that's exactly what it's called, is the hidden hand, they didn't believe that everybody should have access to some of this, the truths, as they call them. People shouldn't know about some of the things like, even simple things like Tesla's, the 369, and the frequencies, and understanding how they all work and the purpose behind it. Just look at some of the people who are inventors, who they've invented incredible things, but we're never going to see them because there are people that are in this out of the hidden hand world don't think that the everyday person should have this knowledge. Well, in 2024, I'm going to tell you what, we are out of the age of the hidden hand, and I firmly believe that some of this knowledge needs to come forward because this may be what saves and helps some of us. Right now, we have a whole bunch of people losing their freaking minds. They can't figure out how we're doing things that there's stuff happening that should not be happening, and people are getting twisted, and people are getting agitated, and people are legitimately losing their mind. Some of these things that are of these hidden understandings of knowledge, simple things that are out there, frequency use, I'm working on a system with my partner, and we've developed a course of study. We have a community called the Apollo that we're putting together, and we're working on a course of study that's called the Court System. And the Court System basically is it helps you draw in energy to project into a symbolic nature that helps you with basically a manifestation. of getting yourself into the betterment. Like, so if you're trying to set a goal and you're trying to change something within you to get to a better place, this is a course of study that we've put together that helps you do that. That is what quantum is. That's what like spiritual alchemy is. So that's what this course teaches. It's basic, and it's so basic that when you get done with it, you just kind of start using it. This is how these other practices and this knowledge that's out there that people have wanted to keep hidden for a long time is. It needs to come out because some of this is going to give us the understanding of where we're at in our universe right now, how we are to be responding. We're getting ready to move into an age that they call the crystalline age. And this is when in certain metaphysical groups talk about when we move into our next ascension, our next higher vibration, and we're going to move into what's called the crystalline stage. So I think it's very important that, yes, we need to be talking about this. People who have this information, this knowledge, we need to share it, because I think we need to get out of everybody seems to think everything's so transparent. Nothing is transparent. Everybody's hiding secrets. Everybody's doing things in the dark. And until it's brought to the light, then what good is it? If nobody has access to it, and only a few, those are the people that are going to be doing the malicious, intentful things because nobody else knows what's going on. So yep. I firmly believe it is time to bring some of this information and knowledge out into the light. I'm not even sure how we got onto that topic, but that was fun. That's a good topic. So let's talk addiction. We were going to talk addiction at the round table, and we never got to it. So tell me your experience. I know, it's fine. I forgive you. Tell me, what is your experience with addiction? We've kind of touched base on that.
Yeah, I was a heroin addict for over a decade.
Really?
Yeah.
So how did you get into doing heroin?
Oh man. Well,
if you don't mind talking about it.
Okay. No, it's okay. Yeah, I got into heroin because like people I was hanging out with, we just did whatever drugs were around. Yeah. So like there was heroin around, and we grew up kind of being a little scared of it. And then I guess I think like one guy in our friend group did it and was like, it's actually, he told us it was fucking awesome. So kind of, oh, okay, well, fuck, man, maybe we'll try it out. That was the worst thing I ever did in my whole life. Yeah, because it really agreed with me.
Oh yeah, it loved you. It did love you.
Yeah.
Yep. How'd you get it? How'd you get through it?
Oh man, well, actually, my wife was a big part of that.
Good.
Yeah. Yep.
That's good.
I had been in a long-term relationship before her, but we were both on drugs.
Yeah.
So and then that went sour after about 12 years, and then I actually met my wife on Tinder. Can you fucking believe that?
Hey, you never know. You never know when that person's going to show up.
You never know. I just had the shit because I was single. So she actually hit me up, and at that time I didn't really keep a cell phone on. Yeah. So like I was known to just turn it off for a couple of months, just let it go dead or whatever. And so I was checking in on shit on my cousin's phone because I didn't even take the phone with me. So I was checking in with shit on my cousin's phone, and there was a message from her on there. And the way that she caught my attention was she typed in a British accent. So she went, "Hello," and said my name. And I was like, okay. And I messaged you back because that was funny. And then another thing was a quote from fucking Friends.
Oh.
In her profile, in her bio. And it was I'm
just a Princess Consuela banana hammock.
I'm just a Princess Consuela banana hammock looking for her click tag.
I love this.
Right. So like All right, so I didn't remember where I knew that from.
Right.
I knew it, but I couldn't remember what it was fucking from. So I was like, okay, well now I gotta message this chick back. So and she told me, of course, I was like, oh shit, I knew that. But yeah, she ended up being fucking super cool. I was still using when I met her,
Right.
and let's say a year or two, a year maybe. First year we were together, I was probably still using. So yeah, so we met in 2016
Okay.
in August, right?
Well, that's when we met in person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Well, I talked to
okay.
her. Yeah, we met in person in August of 2016. We had been talking for forever, and we had
Mhm.
been talking so long that and I kept asking her out, and she didn't want to go out. She didn't want to go out. So finally, it had been so long. I was like, if she doesn't come out with me this weekend, I'm just moving on.
Oh.
Yep, I didn't tell her that though, and it was that weekend when we met. So I was like, oh, okay, all right, yeah. So yep, yeah, I was high the first time I met her too, and then but we had a great first date.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Yeah, my wife is the main drive behind me even wanting to
It's
be serious about living and
it's
you know,
apparent. It's very
yeah,
apparent. When you're in a Discord, I mean, it's very apparent because you talk so lovingly about her. Like you gush about her and it's good that you have a support system that one is dedicated to helping you be better. Because
oh
it
yeah,
sucks when you're with somebody who is constantly bringing you down and is not lifting you up. But when you have somebody in your corner that is constantly there, you're
mhm.
excited about her, you want to spend all that time, that's God sent you an angel and she
Oh
just
yeah,
came to you on Twitter and that's
oh
or
yeah,
Tinder. That's how that
yeah,
happened. So like
yeah.
and that's good because not everybody is that lucky. In fact, I think we're
Nope.
getting in a day and age where more and more people are just not finding the people that they're needing in their
No,
lives. And I don't know
no.
why. I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's something that society
It's a
because
lot of reasons. It's a lot of reasons, and again, we can point another finger at social media about that.
oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
everyone is, all your pictures you're seeing is like all Photoshop sunset beaches. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yes.
They're all fucking talking about, I make $5,000 a day on OnlyFans, and then
Yes.
I don't want no broke ass or whatever. What kind of car do you drive? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's
Yeah,
it's it's it's
we become
become
very
very
material and stupid.
materialistic. It's very
Mhm.
materialistic.
Yeah, and it's a shame.
Yeah, my wife just looked at me and said, "You came with nothing."
See, that's the best
Yeah,
because that's how you
yeah.
know it's real. She wasn't looking for anything but
Nope,
you. And
nope.
that's
I
good
know. Well,
because it's really sad.
I knew it was real when I told her because I didn't want to tell her that I had a drug problem for shit. I think it was a month or two.
You think she didn't
Yeah,
know?
at least dating. She did
Do you
not
think
know.
she didn't know? You were
She
that
did
good to
not.
be functioning? Wow.
Well, also she was kind of naive to it.
Oh, not a lot of
Yeah,
experience?
not a lot.
Okay.
Some, but not a lot. But I was really good at hiding it. I've been using for shit. I met you when I was 30. I've been using since I was 18,
Oh,
17.
yeah. You are a
Yeah.
functioning drug addict, yep.
Oh, for sure. 100% functioning drug addict. High
Yeah, it was
functioning drug
good.
addict.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what made you what
I knew she was a keeper when I told her that, I had a drug problem and I was trying to deal with it. And,
Mhm.
at that time I was playing clean. So
Yeah,
I asked her, like, what happens, just out of curiosity, like, if I relapse and start using again? She didn't say she was going to leave. She said, we'll cross that bridge when we get there and we'll fucking get over it if we have to.
that's good. That's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good.
So she was a keeper right then.
So how
Shit,
did you get clean?
I knew I loved this girl before I even met her in person.
Well, because you found your other half.
Yeah,
Not
something like
everybody
that.
gets to see that, gets to meet that other half. You got it.
No, yeah,
It may have what saved your life. She may have been what saved your life too.
100%.
So
That's what I do.
so tell me about getting clean. Like what were the steps
Okay.
that actually got you through it?
Well, steps. Okay. Well,
Yeah, like, because some people go to a facility, but, like,
yeah,
me, when I got clean off of methamphetamines, like, I did it cold too. Like, I didn't go somewhere and I was at my house. It was living in
yeah,
my house, keeping me away from everything, going, like, through that whole like, my poor parents, they were not prepared to have a child who is addicted to a substance and then having to deal with her getting clean. So, like, I'm
yeah,
always fascinated to hear. I've been around other people. Like, I had one friend who was um, getting off of heroin, and he came and stayed at my house for 3 months and couch surfed and detoxed the whole time. And like, that was quite the experience. My kids were there, so like, explaining to them the process of what was going on and them
yeah,
actually visually seeing it. So, that was very impactful. My kids won't have anything to do with any of those drugs because
yeah. This
they've
is
been
what
so
happens
close
when
to
you
them.
do heroin one time
Right.
for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy.
It is crazy, man. Yeah, it's like, but yeah, so getting clean, the
Yeah.
process for me getting clean was step one, met my wife.
Yes.
She really got the ball rolling. Uh,
Good.
and what also was is she caught me using. Well, she didn't catch me using. She found needles on the bathroom floor because they fell out of my pocket.
Oh,
So
yeah.
then, like shortly after that, the whole little house of cards I had built started crumbling down. Next thing you know, my uncle was talking to her. Right? They had like an intervention for me, and fucking like
Um,
nobody really came. My mom was at work, dad was at work. My mother-in-law came like right as we were like wrapping it up. My
right.
wife came at some point. They both got there about the same time.
Mm.
And my uncle, that was it.
And then,
And then
and then methadone.
yeah, that's when I decided to get treatment. So I didn't go like in-house. I just did outpatient methadone treatment.
Sure.
And you know, the first thing is like if you want to get clean, you have to actually want to get clean. You can't
Yeah.
be bullshit. You can't be bullshitting yourself. Because
Right.
you're destined to fail, and all that's going to happen is you're going to waste a lot of money because methadone's pretty fucking expensive. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, it's not cheap. It's $13 no matter what your dosage is, so it's not like the streets. But $13 adds up real fucking quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like a $400 a month bill.
How long were you on the methadone?
A couple of years.
Oh,
Yeah.
Came
So
off once
I
in
got off. I was in the program for 18 months, right?
2018.
hmm
Went off
Yep,
shortly after
2018.
our marriage.
Yep, right up. Oh yeah, that was not that time though. So,
hmm
so I asked. I was so cocky, right, and just really ignorant to the process of getting clean that when I first went into my intake and all that shit at the methadone clinic, I asked my counselor, "What is the typical fastest I can get out of here?"
mm
And she said it's usually about 18 months. So that was like, boom, 18 months. The clock, the fucking
Yeah.
timer started. So I played the game, did the program, took my methadone, didn't use any heroin or pills or anything, the
hmm
occasional acid trip or mushrooms or whatever. But
Sure.
yeah, no hard stuff. I even quit drinking. But
Mm.
so fucking I played the little methadone game. I weaned off right at the 18-month mark. I started weaning off with the clinic. And the one fatal mistake I made was I was in such a hurry to get out that I was dropping good chunks of dosage. So
Oh.
like say I had like a 45 milligram dose and I
hmm
was trying to get down, I'd be like, man, give me fucking 30. Give me
Oh.
35. You know what I mean? Let's
Yeah.
just go ahead and drop 10. Get down as fast as possible. So
Sure.
it is not that it hurts you in the beginning because you take these doses at that uh, dose for at that size for like 2 or 3 weeks,
Okay.
right? So you're not constantly getting sick.
Sure.
So your body gets used to that dosage, and then you wean down again.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I was taking big jumps. And where I fucked up is once you get down to 10 milligrams, you can't take 10 milligrams away.
Oh. No, you
Right now,
can't. Yeah.
right. And now you're withdrawing off of 10 milligrams a day for however long, but also all the other shit that's been in your system too. Because methadone stores in your body. Like it goes into your bones and your kidneys and your liver. Like, yeah, it penetrates your organs and shit. So like
Okay.
withdrawing from methadone is worse than withdrawing from heroin. And
Oh.
Suboxone's, and I've heard Suboxone's even worse than that.
Yeah, I've been around a few people who tried to detox off of Suboxone, and they just couldn't never ever do it because they just couldn't.
Yeah, they just can't. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. And then how fucking what a kick in the balls this is. How do you get off of Suboxone? With more Suboxone or methadone?
Well, that's a good question. I don't even know, like, because
You
the one,
you
my
can't
one,
use methadone,
mm-mm,
right?
it,
I mean,
yeah,
is methadone synthetic opioid?
you're, I don't know. That's a good
Right,
question. I will have to look that up
because
because,
Suboxone is an opioid blocker. So I'm thinking
right.
because I've taken Suboxone and then fucking railed the OxyContin 80, and then within the hour I was throwing my guts up.
Ooh,
You know what I mean?
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
oof,
yeah.
yeah.
I learned that the hard way. I was like, nah, man, I
Mm.
took that Suboxone at like fucking 6 this morning, dude. I'm straight. Nah, no, you're
Right.
not. But yeah, so the methadone,
Nope.
the methadone stays in your body for a while. So you
Right.
can't drop large doses at the very end. And that's
Right, because it's,
yeah, and that's exactly what I
yeah.
did. So when I got to 10, I was going 10 milligrams every 3 weeks, and when I got to 10 milligrams, I dropped that bitch in half, went to 5. It started getting
Mm,
rough, like the fourth or fifth day.
yeah.
The fourth or fifth day, it got real rough. So
Mm,
man, I had to how should I put this? Uh well, I had to fucking I had to do something to get through the pain. You know what I mean?
sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I actually started to relapse before I was done with the program.
Oh,
Yeah. I was just smart. I was
oh,
just super smart about it, and gave myself time in between to fucking pass their piss test.
oh, well,
Yeah,
yeah.
yep.
I mean, you
So
make a decision
yep.
and
So
that's what you
yes,
did.
that's what I did. So I got out. Right, everyone thought I was fucking super successful, nailed it, 18 months,
Mm,
fucking record timing. Right. Well, they didn't know that I
yeah.
relapsed. So that went on for like I think another week. I think I used for another week after getting out of the clinic. And then
Mm,
man, I was coming home one day after fucking going up to this is when I lived in Georgia. Um,
mhm,
Going up to Macon, Georgia, and meeting with my dope man. And I'm driving back and I already snorted a 20 and I got like probably 2 more in my pocket. And I'm coming back and I'm
mhm,
thinking, man, what the fuck am I doing? I really
yeah.
can't control myself. Like, dude, you're already broke as fuck. We made no money in Georgia. You're already broke as fuck. You can barely pay your bills. You're paying $400 a month for methadone. You just got out and now you just went and spent like $60 on heroin. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And that was, man, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it anymore. So I finished up my dope though. I finished my dope and then I called my counselor. I think first I called my wife
No,
and
we were all sitting on the couch.
I told her we were sitting on the couch.
Mm,
Yeah, I guess on
um,
TV or something. And I told her, I dropped the ball. I got to go back to the clinic. She was super supportive. Whatever we got to do, I'm glad you came to me. I'm glad you told me. And then,
mm,
uh, then I, of course, had to break the news to the family and all that shit. And that was rough. And man,
yeah.
that was, when you're high, it's really easy to let people down,
Yes.
right? You don't really, I mean, it registers to you, but at least me, like, I was just numb to it. Like, you know, yeah, okay, you'll get over it, blah, 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 blah. But man, that time, you know, I don't know, it was different. Yeah, so.
It's because you wanted to. You really did want to
Yeah, I
get
really did.
clean.
I was tired of getting high, man, and, you know, I really loved my
Your
wife.
and your physical right. Your physical body is what took over. I mean, but that's why it was hard. And that's why you went back.
Oh, yeah.
Because most people wouldn't have gone back. They just would have kept getting high.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most people do.
But you had reasons.
Yeah.
You had reasons. You had there one sitting next to you right now. You had the family that did show up. Like that, yeah, that's great. So you went back to the clinic?
Yep, I went back. And then I was in the clinic for a lot longer than 18 months. Yeah, I wanna say it was like 36. I wanna say I was in the clinic for about 3 years.
Oh.
'Cause I was in for another 2 in Georgia and then
Mm-hmm.
a year up here. Yeah.
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 How did the people in the clinic treat you when you came back the second time?
Just as good as the first.
That's good. That's a good answer. I
Yeah,
was hoping.
the one down there in Georgia. I think if I had tried to do it up here where I live now, it would have been a lot more difficult because they don't really give two shits about you. The one that I went to in Georgia, they're fucking beautiful people. Whenever I go to Georgia, like Christmas time or whatever, whenever I can make it down there, we usually stop by and I go and talk to my counselor and talk to the guy who runs the place. They're fucking awesome people, man. Yeah, if it wasn't for the atmosphere they had, it maybe not have been so successful with me. But like it was a small clinic, you know what I mean? There weren't that many patients. Like I don't think I was in the waiting room with more than 3 or 4 people at a time. And there was
so they could actually pay attention to you and give you that extra whatever it was you needed.
Yeah.
Because I think some places they just get too many people, it gets just too big and you just don't have that personal touching care that sometimes you have to have. Especially when you've gone back the second time. Because then there's something else attached. There's shame, there's, you know, that feeling of letting people down, not being able to, you know, make it the first time. Yeah, being that whole experience.
I can be pretty cocky sometimes. So like, you know.
No.
Yeah. So like, you know, I'm like, man, I got this in the bag. You know, I'll treat myself. You know, I've been a good boy for, you know, a year, 18 months. I can do a little dope. Nope, can't do it. Damn, now I gotta humble myself and go in front of all these people that I was kind of cocky in front of. You know, and tell them I'm 18 months, I'm out. And tell them, man, I didn't make it a fucking week.
Right. That was your ego.
Oh, for sure.
Your ego had to get slapped down and be like, listen.
100%.
You're addicted to these drugs. Don't do them anymore.
Yeah, like, dude, this is beyond your control anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's a situation you gotta fucking get under control.
Right. So how long have you been clean off of heroin?
How long has it been? It's been almost 8 years, I think.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, since the last time I did any dope.
That's really good.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you ever experience the cravings or the wanting to?
Dude, yeah, like it happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people go into treatment and rehabs and stuff like that with like I guess rose-colored glasses because there's a lot of shit they don't tell you that's gonna happen to you for probably the rest of your life.
Yes.
Like dreams. Relapse dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man. And sometimes they're so real. Like, dude, I've woken up checking my arm, like, holy fuck, what? Like for real. Like, oh, they're crazy. And then cravings, random.
Oh yeah.
Random.
Yep.
Right? And then like I had this weird thing in my brain where I can remember like every fucking spot I've ever gotten dope from. like immediately.
Yes.
Like all I gotta do is drive there one fucking time. It took me months to learn my route at work, and I do that shit literally every
Yeah.
single day. But man, I bet you if there was dope at those jobs, I would remember where every single one of them was.
Mhm. That's right. I experienced that too. I've been clean for, let's see, my daughter's 19, so I've been clean 19
Oh
years
wow!
off of methamphetamines, and
Congratulations.
I was a needle user. Yeah, thank you. I was a needle user, and to this day, I can be driving around my town, and I'll drive by a place, and the next thing I know, I go to wherever what was going on. I can tell you where, what drugs we were doing there, and I can tell you everything. And sometimes I have to pull over because I'm caught in this memory
Yeah.
of whatever, that meth memory. Yeah, there's cravings. Oh, bad. It's
So are you
bad.
in the
And
town?
I think it's because
Are you in the town?
I live in the town
Yeah.
that,
You
huh?
live in the same town
Yeah,
still?
I do live in the same town.
Yeah. That's
Um,
rough, dude.
and it's like I know if I meet one, there's been times and I'm like, fuck this, I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
and I've never have,
Yeah.
but it's here. Like I had to legitimately cut my whole
Oh
circle
yeah.
off when I got
Oh yeah.
clean. And like I'm living in the house that I got clean
Oh
in.
good. Good, good, good.
Yeah. With my mom and dad. So like this is like a
Oh
safety
yeah.
net
Yeah,
for
you're
me.
good.
I don't smoke pot here. I don't any of those things. I will trip here, but other than that, like I keep it out of here because this is a very sanctified
Oh
place
yeah.
for me. It's especially my mental health. And keeping me on the straight path with drugs because I like drugs. I loved drugs.
Yeah.
I loved meth. I loved speed. I loved doing all the different things. But yeah, it's one of those things. The cravings are
Yeah. Yeah,
crazy.
they don't go away.
Been so long since I've waking up with dreams and tasting
Oh.
it. When you get the vapors, you know
Oh.
what the vapors
Can you
are.
smell it?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. Oh
dude, I
yeah.
swear
It's nuts.
I smell a heroin like all the
It
time sometimes, dude. It drives me nuts. I mean, it doesn't when I
Yep.
smell it, it doesn't really do anything to me. Like I don't get triggered by it. It's like the cravings come
But
like
you
randomly. And it's usually when I'm in a good
Mhm.
mood, not when I'm in a bad mood or anything like that.
Oh,
It's really wild, man.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course they do come when I'm in a bad mood too, but it's more likely when I'm in a good mood. Driving home,
Right.
driving home from work, and maybe had a good day at work, and
Mhm.
I'm like, man, a fucking shot of dope would be, you know,
Right,
yeah,
because you're in
living
that
on
you
this
it's a you
motherfucker.
almost a the you it's the euphoric part that makes you remember the good times that you
Yeah.
like, there were many times where you're like, on my 3rd day, I've been up for 3 days, and I'm like, "What? Is this fun? Like, what are we
It's
doing?"
like talking about a bad
But it
ex,
is.
but we had good times too. Remember in the beginning?
Yes. Exactly. It's a feeling. And no, they don't tell you. We don't talk about
Mm-mm.
like what happens after you get clean,
Yeah,
like what the things you still have to battle, the things you still on a daily basis still have to have that willpower to be like, no, I'm not gonna go back down
yeah.
that road. Like they don't talk about it. And I don't know why.
I don't know.
I don't know why we don't talk
I
about it.
don't know.
Because I think it's a very vital part. That way, you know that, building something that's going to keep you in the right frame of mind so you don't slip back. What do you know? Do you know any statistics on like what the relapse rate of people that go in and get
Not off,
help to get
not
clean?
off the top of my head. Uh,
I might have to look into that because I'd be interested to see that because
oh
especially now
wow.
because I feel that
Okay.
we've got
This right here says
what'd you
about
find?
40 to 60% of people who get treatment for substance use disorder have a relapse.
Oh my, that's
85%,
high.
85% uh, of which is within a year of treatment.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's high. That's real high. So now let's see, we'll throw fentanyl in there.
Oh,
So I bet that blows the numbers out of the water
oh wow,
even
yeah.
more so because we had a drug problem before and now we've got
Oh,
I don't even know what to call it.
yeah.
How do you feel about so because you are a recovering addict? How do you feel about the laws that are let's just legalize all of it?
No.
Why
No,
not?
I don't think so. I mean, this is probably where I'm gonna be like have a personal attachment to the issue. But like,
Well, this is why I ask you because I have a very personal attachment to it too, and I too say no.
yeah,
So I'd like to know. I'd like to hear why. What is it that is makes you say no about that?
and like it might work in other places, fine. I don't
Mhm.
think it would work here in America, in the United States. I don't think it would work. Like the crime rates and stuff like that. I don't think would drop at all. I don't think they would drop. You probably just have the same. I mean, people are still going to steal to get drugs, whether they're legal or not.
Right.
So, like, and some drug, there's levels to it, man. Some drugs are worse than others. So, like, you know, people have a bad reaction with heroin, and people have a bad reaction to meth, and people have a bad reaction to crack. These are drugs that, like,
Mhm.
I guess the spirit or energy behind them would be deterioration and destruction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Like
Totally.
I wouldn't want to legalize that, man. And man, I have to believe that there's other people in the world that are like me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They like to have a good time. They like getting partying. They like to party. And man, you find that one thing that you really fucking like, and it gets out of hand.
Yep.
Yeah. So like,
Agree.
yeah, not everybody has
So
the self control or self awareness
right.
and information about this shit to really know what they're getting themselves into.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to say like I'm not gonna say people are stupid. I'll definitely fucking imply it. You know what I mean?
We definitely have a handful of stupid people out there for sure. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, but like, yeah, but
So here's my question.
I just don't think it would
So
do any. I don't think it would do the good that people say it will.
mhm.
Look
Right.
at areas
So
like Kensington and in Philadelphia and freaking
exactly.
San Francisco.
Yep.
Like, I mean,
Even Oregon.
Oregon, yeah,
Oregon to a
Oregon.
point, some of the
Oh,
areas.
Utah,
Mhm.
man, that's where my habit got
Yeah.
really bad was in Utah because
In Utah.
yeah, Utah has way better dope than Virginia or Georgia.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Interesting.
they don't have any powdered. Like I could not find any fucking powdered heroin. I could not find.
Why were you in Utah?
I was working.
Why were you in Utah?
Okay,
You're working. Okay.
yeah. So okay. I had lived in Georgia after me and my ex broke up. I moved
Mhm.
back to Georgia, right? No, I'm sorry. We broke up. We got in trouble, right? We both got arrested. We were like stealing flat screens out of Walmart. So fucking yeah. So we got arrested for that shit. Fucking yeah, we were junkies, dude. So fucking
Yeah.
we get arrested for that. We get split up. Uh, I went to Virginia to stay with my cousin, sort of close to where I live now. And
Mhm.
I was there for a couple months, stayed there through winter, and eventually, I made my way back to Georgia. Let's just say I wasn't living my best life in the Virginia days.
Yeah.
So I made my way back to Georgia. Everybody knew what was going on with me. Blah 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 blah. I'm staying at my parents' house, and a job opportunity comes up to go and do paint and like drywall work for a company that primarily works on barracks and stuff like that in military bases.
Okay.
So I landed that gig because I could piss clean at the time. I landed that gig, and my first job was in Utah. So I went out there. I went out there clean. I actually been clean for I
Oh.
think a couple of weeks, and
Mm.
man, it was just so fucking. I wasn't. It was lonely. I didn't have anybody with me. It was just I was literally living with the boss and his wife.
Oh.
Yeah, I had to live with them.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was just fucking weird, right? And it's Utah. It was kind of depressing. I was kind of still
Yeah.
going through this off and on bullshit with my ex and fucking, all that drama. So like, well, I
Yep.
wasn't in Utah, but maybe a couple days, couple weeks before I hooked up with this hooker, and she started getting me.
Mhm.
She started getting me fucking black tar.
Oh,
And I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know if you know. I
Okay.
don't know if you know anything about black tar, but you can't smoke.
I do. I've had my heroin
Yeah,
jaunt, so
yeah. Well, you can't smoke that shit. So like,
nope, you have to cook that
you
in. You
gotta,
have to.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I did learn another way you can take tar heroin. You can dissolve it in water, like
How?
shooting it up. Just if you're drinking water, just put it in the water. It's the same thing as when you're shooting it up.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, I've done that before when I couldn't find a vein. I just dropped a little nugget.
Oh, when you're too,
Mm,
yes, when they're collapsed or they're too hydrated
yeah.
and you can't get them to pop
Yep.
open. Yeah. Mhm.
Yep. So yeah, Utah is where my fucking addiction.
Well, we used to do the same thing with meth
Oh
too.
really?
We would drop that in water bottles and then you would just sit and drink it.
Oh yeah.
That makes total sense. I don't know where I ever thought of
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Okay, go on.
Utah is also in the underworld known for its meth problem.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, Utah has a booming meth scene. Their heroin
Yeah.
their heroin and meth scene down there over there is fucking. It was like a junkie's dream, paradise. As soon as I started looking for dope, I found it. Like the first hooker I called, fucking hooked me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was getting balls of it at a
Yep.
time. So like, because I had
Mm.
all this money, I was working. I mean, I wasn't making.
You had no friends and you had a bunch of money.
I had
Yep.
no friends. I had a bunch of money, and I'm fucking kind of going out with a hooker.
Yep.
So like,
Drugs, definitely good drugs
man,
is the next step.
yeah, dude, I'm on a downward spiral. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's never like, yeah.
Yes, I do know.
So yeah. But yeah, I tried to freeze it because you can freeze it too, right? You can freeze it and then try to crush it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes. We've done
yeah,
that.
but
Yeah.
it doesn't work. It
Yeah.
doesn't work that great. The only thing I didn't try to do with it was fucking bake it like one of those fucking
Oh, yeah.
fucking. But yeah, so I had dabbled with the needle, you know,
Yeah.
over the years, but it was never really something I was fond of. But
Mm.
when it became the only way I could do it, I got really good
Yep.
at it.
Yep.
So, you know, but yeah, I was addicted to the needle, all that, all that great stuff. Like when I was like, so I can remember being and hadn't been able to hook up and get any dope, and this was in Utah. But I sat there and fucking just draw blood and
Oh,
squirt it in my mouth.
yeah.
Yeah, like just man, that's sick. That's sick.
You had, well, because you wanted to you needed the action.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you were addicted to the needle, so you were addicted to the
Yeah,
action. You were
the
addicted to
whole
the whole
process,
process.
the
Mhm.
poke, all of it,
Yeah.
tying off, all of
Yep.
it, man.
The pop of the needle when it goes through your
Oh
arm.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. And when your vein is really fucking thumping, you don't really even feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Oh God.
Yeah, when we sit and talk about it, and we look at it, it's like,
Yeah,
I can't believe
yeah. It's kind of like for me, it's kind of like a bittersweet thing, man. It's like, God damn, like I might sound crazy,
Right.
but
I remember
if heroin was safe,
remember how good it
if heroin
yeah,
was
I
as
remember how
safe
good
as
it
weed,
felt.
I would still do it.
So, here's my question. So, we know we have these areas that we talked about that are, the decriminalization and legalization of, the drugs are happening. So, what are your thoughts on their idea of having, like, the people that are out on the streets that are harm reduction people. We have people that are actually out on claiming harm reduction, and they're giving people pipes to smoke their drugs in, or they're giving them, or there's places, the injection sites. Do you think these are viable things that actually help the addiction, the people who are in addiction? Because they claim that these are ways to keep it sanitary, clean, safe. Do you believe that, since you are a recovering addict?
Yeah.
Do you think that is legitimately ways to help combat this thing they've got, where they've legalized or decriminalized these things, and this is their suggestion how to balance it out? Do you think that's actually working?
Well, no.
Well,
Yeah.
no. Well, why not? Why do you think that's not a working or a very good idea?
if you're gonna it's totally it's like a Band-Aid on a larger problem. Right. Okay, so put it like this. Okay, like when people really want to get clean, they go to a rehab, right? Do they allow you to do small amounts of heroin or give you clean needles in a rehab center?
No.
Right. Nope. And why is that? Because they're serious about you getting clean, right? And the only reason you're there is, it's really just a way to perpetuate a problem that's already getting out of control.
Right, it's kind of like a long-term death sentence to me. That's the way it looks like.
Yeah, we're not going to help you get off the shit, but at least you'll have a clean needle. And then, being realistic about it, how long do you think that needle's cleaning? How many times do you think that guy's going to use that? Who else? You think he's going to be the only one?
Yeah, and and these are the things I often wonder: are the people that are implementing these ideas and stuff, are they people that used to do drugs? Have any of these people actually experience addiction? This is my question when I look at these types of things, because I can talk to you and ask.
You think they were on drugs?
Mm-hmm. That's no kidding. They act like it. They act. Maybe it's all the anxiety and depression meds that they're all on that they just don't
call it
understand.
adrenochrome.
Oh well,
No, it's more
it's
like
something.
Cocaine and Adderall, and I've heard tales of
who knows? Well, that's just and that's what I wonder. Are we legalizing because it opens it up for all those people too?
Yeah.
Then and another question. Okay, so this is another idea. One night I was thinking a lot about this stuff and the legalities, because that bugs me, and it bugs me because I am a recovering addict. And some of the things is, a lot of us didn't get clean because we wanted to. In the beginning, we didn't want to go.
Yeah.
We had to go, and then we had to succumb to it. That makes me mad, because it's that type of thing. If you're out there and you're just coddling me and you're handing me pipes and you're not even, I've watched a lot of interviews of some of the homeless and the people that are addicted on different platform things. And one of the things that you hear is they talk about how people need to have a little bit more forcefulness with them to get them clean, because an addict is not going to do it themselves. They're going to go get high before they're going to go get clean.
Yeah.
Even if they want to, they're going to go get high before. And it's that type of thing. It just makes me wonder.
Dude,
so then I think about things
I asked my wife if I could get high one last time before my very first ever visit to the methadone clinic.
And what'd she say?
She said no.
Good for her.
Yeah, she's bad.
Did she tell you why?
No.
Did she tell you why she said no?
No.
Do you know why she said no?
Because if she had said yes, then that opens the door for me to do it again. 100%.
That's right. And if she would have allowed that the first time, then you would have expected it to be that.
No, she made it clear,
that's true.
No, she made it clear when she forgave me, when she found the needles, that she understands I have a problem, and she understands that it's going to be for the rest of my life, but using's not going to be tolerated. And if you do use and it continues and you don't tell me, or we don't address it right away, she pretty much told me be a man about my shit, or I'm fucking, I'm going to have to leave.
See, you found a great woman.
Fucking yeah.
Just a great
I really
woman.
did. Well, she found me, actually.
So here's since we're talking about this addiction, let's talk about this too. So one crazy thought that I had is, so now in our psychedelic world, we're moving into, like we have evolved. Like we have evolved quickly. It's gone fast. We know corporate wise, and money wise, it's getting bigger. It's booming, and now we're swinging into therapy. And you've heard me talk about therapy a lot on the podcast with people. So I had a crazy thought one time when I was sitting, I think it was high, shocker. But I got to thinking about the legality part of it and legalizing all this stuff. And then on the heels of it, here we come with psychedelics, and we're pushing this through now. Oh, we can prescribe psychedelics. We can help you heal yourself. So did we open the doorway for the legalization of all these drugs so we could peddle in the therapy and utilizing these drugs in therapy reasons? Because now, if we've opened this up, it makes it a little bit easier for us to do that. And now we can start backtracking and like regulating once we understand what psychedelics we're gonna want to use the most and not. So like we talked about earlier that there are people that are controlling some aspects and things. Yes, and that's one of the biggest ones that I see. I really believe that this drug war, because it has changed. We are no longer the war on drugs.
Yeah.
It is now this different thing that's happening. So now we want to change everybody's mind and say, oh, all this stuff is good. Don't listen to what we said so many years ago. Now we can use it.
Did anybody ever declare the government the winner on this fucking epic war on drugs? You know what I mean? So
I do.
What's happening now is we're seeing the concession.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, it's also like, okay, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that the federal government has knocked the cannabis down to Schedule 3. I'm thrilled. That's great. I don't need the government to tell me, what's legal and what's not legal. It doesn't matter. I'm going to still use it no matter what. Yeah, right. The one thing I want the most is my individual rights to do as I please with growing, cultivating, making my own decisions for my own being. That's the thing I want the most. Hopefully we get that, but I'm afraid we're going to get everything else before we get that. And then when we get all the other things, it's actually going to, through the regulation of that, it's actually going to put us kind of right back where we were when they're telling us we couldn't actually do this because it was illegal. But that's here nor there. My thing is I don't trust anything nowadays that when it comes to the legalization, the words of legalization.
It's for a reason. It's for a reason, and more than likely it's not for our benefit.
No, it's, I've said from the long time, when we start to decriminalize.
That's really where I stand on it and why I would be against legalization. Otherwise, because there's two sides to my opinion on that. And it's like, otherwise, people are people, grown people are grown. Let them do what the fuck they want to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're going to do it anyways.
Yeah, we're going to do it anyways, right? And when it starts to affect other people is when it becomes a problem, right? So,
right.
I mean...
Right.
Yeah. So,
or if it becomes harmful to our own being. And I don't think we're taking that into consideration.
No, and that's also why I think the needle exchanges aren't really all that... I mean, they're all right, you know what I mean? I'm not knocking them. They're doing what they can, I suppose. I'm sure there are some people who are really, in it, right?
Yeah.
And doing it for like the right reasons. And I'm sure there's other people who aren't. There's always going to be charlatans and everything. So
absolutely,
it's just like
absolutely
the higher up the ladder you go, the more charlatans you're going to find. So like the bigger this stuff gets, the more dangerous it's going to get.
Right.
Right. That's what
That's right. I think you're right. That kind of goes along with my little theory about DMT world, and I'm kind of glad that we have not exploded in huge fashionable way. And I'm glad we're not on that spectrum. because of I don't want our community to get polluted with what I am seeing happening in some aspects of the psychedelic world. The people in our community, I think a lot of us, we're not new. I mean, there are some new people that come in, but we're not new. But I also believe that our community is the community that's going to get hit hardest with some of this stuff that's happening as we're progressing in the psychedelic world. I think, like, we've all put our work in. We all know this. Like, we know how to grow. We know how to cultivate. We know how to extract. We know we've taught ourselves how to do this. We've taught our people in our community how to do this. But I also think we are going to be the ones that are going to suffer the most when the changing of the guard in the psychedelic world happens. You know, when there are shops that start opening in the places and more legalization starts happening, and then the capital gain starts happening with it. I mean, I think when we see that, like I said, we're going to be the ones that are going to suffer the most.
You know, even aside from that, man, like, I'm still going to do my little thing, but the government always tends to take the feeling and the spirit and the God out of everything they get their hands on.
Absolutely. Amen. That is exactly right. That is the one thing that I think drives me crazy the most with what I'm seeing with the progressive movement is the taking out of the spiritual aspect and part of it all. I understand why people are mad with the talking of taking these medicines and not giving our indigenous people, our tribes, these people who have used these medicines for a long time, and not giving them credit or giving them a place at a table. It took me a long time to really understand that with all this, but I get that because they upheld the spiritual aspect of what these medicines are. And the people and where these indigenous medicines come from are still that way for them. We've moved into this Western world. And like I said, we're clinical. We're therapy. Where are our people who are spiritual that are administrating? We have a church that is in California that has just now got it to where they can actually utilize psilocybin. Psilocybin and somewhere there can utilize the psilocybin. It is now deemed as a sacred a sacrament, so they can utilize it. That's great. We need to keep the connection of the spiritual, what these medicines do and how they allow us to connect with the divine, to understand, to be with, and to commune. And when you start taking that connection away, I mean, that destroys a lot. Why do we do the psychedelics? Like, I know so many people that are like, because of the experiences of psychedelics, I am more spiritual. I have found God. I am going to church, or I am doing this or these practices, and we need to make sure that is being honored just as much as all this other stuff that's happening in the research, because right now all that research is just money being pumped into something.
Exactly. That's what they do. That's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that psychedelics can help people with addiction for sure, because I was using mushrooms and acid all through my recovery. And
yes,
absolutely. You'd have those self-reflective moments during a trip or whatever, and it really helps you put things into perspective, right? And now maybe I can see the benefit of like a therapist doing that, but I kind of think people already have the tools to do it themselves. And it's just like people are kind of lacking in those types of areas. Like,
yes, it's very hard to think about this subject because I'm the same way. I do understand how the medicines can help. I do understand how the introspection part of what happens in this, in the trips and everything in our brains, how they help. I do understand how people guiding people who are not very experienced, how that can help. what I can't wrap my brain around is all these come and get certified to, and it's like,
Mhm.
it doesn't feel like, when I invite somebody over to take a couple hits of acid or to do a mushroom trip, like I'm, that's it. There's something different about it. I don't know. I'm having a hard time connecting with wanting to go to even going to a retreat
Yeah,
and stuff with people that I don't
you're
know.
creating an atmosphere and a
Mhm.
vibe for a fucking journey.
Right,
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
man, sometimes mushrooms take you down through there, and if you don't want to be in an uncomfortable place around strangers, like,
Well, that's just it. And I think that's it. I think it's the stranger part of it. It's to me, to commune with somebody in the psychedelic world, like, I want to make sure that person I'm comfortable with. I'm very energy susceptible anyways, fluctuation with people's
mm,
energies, like all that stuff. So, and then when I'm in psychedelic mode, like, that's even more. So, I mean, I think there's a fear of me, what it would be like to be put in the setting, in a clinical setting or that type of setting, and then ingest a
oh, I
substance
know.
that puts me in, like, I mean, my daughter can barely at times be in the same room with me when my mushroom trip has started
Yeah,
happening. Like, she can be in on the come up and I'm fine and everything, but once I get into it, like, the littlest thing can trigger me off and make me just, I mean, I'll get rageful. I can
really?
get like crazy. Oh yeah. I have to be by myself when I'm tripping on mushrooms
Damn.
nowadays. Um, yeah, acid, no way. I'm the most social person when I'm on acid, but mushrooms, no, it's a totally internal. I have to be by myself away from people.
Wow.
And so, like, yeah, it's something else. Even like microdosing at times, I am on a schedule. When I do it, I'm scheduled. So I know like who I'm around and
Yeah,
everything. But like I get off that, they can make me and so I'm like, I think that's my part of my fear. Going into that setting with somebody I don't know
yeah,
and them and then I start questioning, how much experience do you
yeah.
have? Have you
Have
tripped?
you ever done
That's my
it? Yeah.
big question
Have
too.
you
Can I
ever fucking done
request
it?
somebody who has right? Did you go to school? Did they make you trip? I'm afraid of that. I'm going to get that 20-some-year-old that has never experienced
Oh,
it but has all this book
mhm.
knowledge, and I hate to think like that because I want to give I honestly, I do want to give it all a benefit of the doubt, but like these are things that I think about
Yeah.
and that make me
That's kind of where
fearful.
I am too.
And
I kind of want to. I want to believe that these things are good, but like, man,
yes,
when I start to think about like what's happening, what are they doing, and what could they be doing, what should they be doing,
right,
or working towards to actually fix the problem, and I'm like, oh well, this is just
right,
another fucking scam. But then
right. And then
then
I,
you take a position,
yep.
then you take the position where like, no, you shouldn't do this, but now you're a fucking monster because you don't want to help all the drug addicts. And it's like, well,
Right, I don't wanna be a hater. I don't wanna be known as a
exactly,
hater. She
right?
doesn't it does she run she, DMT world, KB's a
Yeah.
hater because I don't want anybody to ever think that because that's not
No,
true.
you
It's like, but
no,
yeah,
the way I see it
it's
is like,
stuff that we
man, the way I see it is
Mhm.
if you really want people to get off of drugs, you're not going to let them do the
Yeah,
fucking drug anymore.
right.
Right? You're not
Absolutely,
gonna
yeah.
give them a new needle or a new pipe. You're
Right,
just simply not gonna do that.
right.
What you're going to do is
Yeah,
offer them something else. Offer them,
yeah.
I don't know, something to eat in a conversation. Give them fucking give
Mhm.
them, free therapy, whatever.
Right,
Not obviously not drug therapy, but maybe,
right.
maybe a little mushrooms. I know that, man, mushrooms told me if I don't get off the shit, I'm gonna have a fucked up life.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you listened.
Yeah, yep. But this was already after I was listening to my wife for so many years too. Yeah, I kinda
Well,
knew that. But,
yes.
yeah,
They just reinforced it.
yeah, mushrooms do that. Yeah, they had to remind me. Mushrooms are actually the reason why I started growing mushrooms. Mushrooms told me to grow mushrooms.
Do you know I've talked to several people that are cultivators, and they've said this very similar thing.
Seriously? Oh, that's
Mhm.
so cool.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
absolutely. Um, One of my favorite things about mushrooms is taking them, and when they start talking and the zipping that happens, and it zips in my ears, and that's when like they start going, and that's usually when I can radio like tune in, and that's when I can like start hearing other stuff that's like going around me. Like if there's people outside, it amplifies everything, and you can hear you can hear the dog barking like miles away, that everything comes amplified. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure the mycelium was like, hey, they pick the cultivators. I firmly believe the mushrooms pick the people they want to grow, and many of them have picked up the calling.
Yeah.
But no, I believe that. I firmly believe that. Like I said, several of you guys that I have talked to that grow mushrooms, like, yeah, similar, very similar things. I told them that they needed to do it. They needed to be growing them.
Yeah.
So I think that's fascinating. How long have you been growing?
Oh, a couple of years, a few years. I'm not really that great at it. So like the length of time has nothing to do with my skill level. For me, it's a hobby. I just like doing it. I mean, I know there's some people out there that are really, really deep into it. I'm getting there, but I'm not in a rush.
Right. Do you feel the compulsiveness of growing like some of the, like I know some cultivators, they get very they get into that. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Does that happen to you?
In the beginning, it was like that. In the beginning, it was. But I'm sort of that way with all new hobbies in the very beginning. I go gung-ho until I realize I've overdone it. Right. So,
right. That's how I was when I first learning to extract. Like that's all I could think about. That's all I wanted to do. I'd get up and I'd pull my trays out. I'd scrape, I'd put them out and let them dry. And then I would do a couple of my agitations, and then I'd come home for lunch and I would do my pulls and I'd put in the freezer, and I just kept doing this and kept doing this and kept doing this. And it was like and then when I, cultivators, that's the one thing when you talk to them, like you can hear that want, that desire, that kind of a obsessive compulsive they want to keep growing and going and going and going. Of course, the more they're touching those mushrooms, the higher they're getting. So it's just a thing. That's why a lot of them are like, okay, I'm going to quit my day job, and then I'm going to I'm just going to sit and grow mushrooms.
Man, that would be awesome.
Okay.
I can't.
It would be awesome.
I can't tell you how many fucking times in a day I say that to myself.
And
my job.
You would just have to. You just have to make sure it was sustainable for you.
Yeah, I know. That's one thing that legalization would do. There's two sides to that one too. I feel like two different ways about it because people who are doing it now, like a lot of people that I've met through this, they're good people. They're not fucking. They're not deviants. They're not criminals in any other way, except they're growing this fungus in their closet or whatever.
Right.
And so like that would really help them out. They'd be able to make their money legally, you know what I mean? Whatever. They can keep whatever culture they want attached to their mushrooms. They can keep it and pass it on to the people who are, getting it from them. And that you're getting something that was, done the right way. And
yes.
Instead of,
cultivators would have to be the ones that made these laws and stuff. I firmly believe nobody else could actually make anything, any law or any statute or anything like that was not in the actual game.
They're gonna have somebody like Paul Stamets. I'm not knocking him. Not knocking Paul Stamets, but they would have somebody like Paul Stamets sign off on whatever legislation. We have our scientists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's going to play ball because, he's really a scientist. So like,
right.
But he probably does think they should be legal. I wouldn't put that past him. Also,
I wouldn't put that past him either.
Also, my colleges will. But yeah, so I'm kind of torn between it being good. I just see more bad than good.
I do too. I don't like it that's the way I see it because there's so many people that will like debunk or like counteract that. They're so positive, and that's all they want to see. And I'm like, devil's advocate here.
You have to,
Maybe.
you try to look at everything, and a lot of times, man, a lot of times the good that these programs and laws do isn't. First of all, they can be more harmful than leaving it alone to begin with. Secondly, it's usually just to appease a certain group. So like it's kind of unfair towards another, right? That's how it is. And then shit, I forgot the first point I wanted to make. Damn. What else? Fuck it. I just see more bad than good, man, and like with the needle exchanges and stuff like that, not really helping them. So I have to say I can't. I just see more bad than good in that too. I mean, really, it kind of like a siphon of tax dollars.
Yeah. So we're at our 2-hour mark.
Holy shit! Already.
I think this is the longest interview I have actually had. So yeah, so with that being said, we're going to wrap this up a little bit.
All right.
So this is the point in time of the interview where I opened it up. I give you the floor, and you just talk to the community and tell them whatever comes from your heart.
Oh, what's up, guys? Really fucking loved all y'all. You're awesome. Shout out to all the homies in the Discord. Fucking kick ass, smoke weed. Fuck yeah. Peace.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. With that being said, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode as much as we did. And keep ascending, friends.